Now, as we cascade with the bulletin, I am joined in studio by a very special guest who I do think we are going to thoroughly enjoy having a chat with here on Good Morning Zimbabwe. No stranger to us here, but we do thank you so much for joining us again, Mr. Jerry Nyazungu, the chartered vendor.
Thank you so much.
Now, take us a little bit more into that particular title. What does it mean? And is there a chartered institute for vendors?
Yeah, I want to create one.
Oh, okay. So it's still in the word works.
Yeah, I learned a lot from vending because I was a vendor selling seeds and bananas in Glenview and Budiriro. And I also learned a lot from being a chartered secretary. I did CIS.
Okay.
After being inspired by Dr. Gideon Kono.
Okay.
So I said to myself, can I call myself a chartered secretary or can I call myself a vendor? Let me just call myself a
chartered vendor.
Yeah.
That's how it came about.
Yes.
Now, you did write and pen down a book that is also a best-selling piece of work, I must say. And you mentioned that it is essential in this book for everyone to be taught about sales. Why particularly sales? Why should everyone know about sales?
Yeah, even for me, the reason why I've achieved this little success is because I knew the skill of selling whilst I was vending. And I've also asked a lot of executives, be it your Philip Mataranikas, what were they saying? They said, we gained so much from sales because sales is very, very important and sales is a way of life. Like that's where you are going to learn the skill to persuade, because every day you're working with vendors, you're working with suppliers, everyone. Everyone is sales, but they don't realize that they're in sales. So you learn to negotiate, get whatever you want without burning bridges. Because sometimes you need to know the skill of negotiating. You need to know how to close a deal, to say, I've closed, I've got money, I've got whatever I want, I've got a job. That's part of selling, because in an interview, you're also selling yourself. Here on television, we are also selling ourselves because we've got a lot of competition from other TV stations on DSTV.
Don't get me started.
Then also, in sales, you learn self-discipline. Like, in sales, you're paid commission. So hence, you're working for yourself, your own organization. So it teaches you to be self-disciplined. You're not saying, I should just get a salary because even without working. So sales is a bit different. And also you get self-confidence. Like I used to be very shy. I used to be an introvert. But because of deliberate efforts, I can now speak everywhere. Here I'm actually on television. I used to stammer. I couldn't even finish one sentence in public, even in school. Up to maybe A level, I couldn't even address people. So this is how sales has moved me to the next level.
Touching on the importance of sales there, that's quite a kicker that you've brought about. Now, here's the ultimate question. Do you feel like universities are doing enough? Because universities are the apex, are the line in which young people go through as they transition into adulthood and perhaps get into the corporate and spaces where they actually need to make their own money. And is there enough education on sales or around sales? Take, for example, a young person who's learning medicine. Where are they going to intertwine the skill of the art of sales, as the chartered vendor would say?
Yeah, the skill of sales, I don't think it's supposed to be taught. It's supposed to be taught to everyone, not even at the university level only, but even ECD. Our kids must learn how to communicate. They must learn how to get whatever they want. Yes, you can have a degree of medicine. You can be a doctor. You can start owning a surgery, but you're going to deal with patients. And your patients are also your customers and your clients. So just imagine if you don't know how to close a deal, you don't know how to ask quality questions, you don't know how to even write a proposal, it's going to be a disaster. So our universities, I don't feel they are producing good sales people. I've tried working with people who have got sales and marketing degrees, and it was a disaster because they are on the theoretical side. You are never going to be taught that the customer is going to say no to you for several times. And no is not a rejection in sales. No, it just means someone doesn't know something about that product.
Oh, that's powerful.
Yeah,
I'm
or
write that
service.
down.
Exactly. So we are saying now, instead, I would say if I'm going to be teaching my students, especially at the university, they would rather spend 4 years selling products and closing deals at the end of this, their tenure, we rather rate them with the amount or the deals they've managed to close,
Yes.
rather than learning about these 7Ps, learning about these theories. And some of these theories were written in 1980s. They are no longer applicable during this 2022, whereby we now TikTok, we now have social media. We now need to teach our people, how are you going to handle? Have you ever tried maybe inquiring for something on social media? People will answer you after 7 days.
Oh, yes.
People will answer you after 24 hours, because they were never taught that it's important for you to answer your client in the 60 seconds. You can increase the chances of closing that deal by almost 500%.
Yeah, it's interesting you've said that, because Facebook actually tells you that this particular service provider typically replies in this space of time.
Exactly.
Yes, and that should be everywhere actually. And thank you so much for touching on sales and marketing. Now, the discrepancy, as we wind up our interview, I would like to know that, sales, marketing, as well as all these other things that come with it. It's called an art rather than a skill.
Exactly.
What's your take as the chartered vendor on that?
That's true. Sales is an art. And by the way, sales and marketing, they're two different things. Marketing, you're trying to get that lead, that prospect, to start looking at your company, to start looking at your products. When someone just asks that product, or someone appears to like our product, that's when the sales process is going to start. Have you ever noticed that sometimes when you're trying to buy a high-ticket item, you can spend even 6 months trying to consider, should I buy? Should I buy from this supplier? Because people, customers, they've got fear of losing than fear of gaining. Because in our lives, we've once bought something which we have actually regretted. So we are saying the sales process is going to be very long. The salesperson is the one who's going to do the follow-ups. The salesperson is the one who's going to do those 5-7 meetings for them to actually start and close that deal.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between sales and marketing. Yes, sales is an art.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Jerry Nyazungu. And yes, indeed, we do appreciate your contribution to Good Morning Zimbabwe. Also, putting the entrepreneurs in light. And where do we find you?
I'm on Facebook as Jerry Nyazungu.
Yes.
I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, same name. And my number is 0719 382 136.
Absolutely. Across the board, I can see.
Across the board. And my phone number is public. It's actually there on Facebook.
Okay.
It's there on Instagram. I talk to everyone.
Thank
because
you.
my money is in the people I don't know. They're the ones who with my money.
Yeah, that's great. All right, joining us live in studio, Mr. Jerry Nyazungu. You heard it here first. A talk about sales and marketing, the essence of the importance of this particular art. He's called it an art and not a skill, which is an art that everyone can come together this Friday and learn more about. Do catch him on his pages, as he's mentioned, Jerry Nyazungu.